This is Robert Mardlacci, the MindShare Learning Report, Canada's Learning and Technology e-magazine. And welcome to This Week in Canadian EdTech, very special edition. I'm honored to have join me for a MindShare Learning moment. Olympian Julia Rivard turned EdTech CEO of Shoelace Learning. Thank you for joining me today on the eve of the launch of the opening ceremonies this Friday in Paris, Julia.
Thanks for having me, Robert. Thrilled to be here.
Well, a little bit about Julia. She is a Canadian sprint kayaker from North Bay, Ontario, placed 9th in the 2000 Sydney Olympics for the 500 meter, successful multi-sport athlete as an alpine skier and a swimmer, currently CEO of Shoelace Learning, as I mentioned, a company that creates immersive online platforms to improve children's learning skills through play. Julia launched the Nova Scotia-based learning platform called Shoelace in 2019 after seeing one of her kids fall behind with reading skills. As she looked into how to help, she was surprised to learn that one in two high school schoolers graduate without expected literacy skills. The team at Shoelace decided to develop highly captivating video games that teach kids reading comprehension. You'll see an Olympic theme as well that she'll share. Julia Rivard Dexter is an innovative tech entrepreneur. Julia is, as I mentioned, a former Olympian, and she is on a number of boards. She, as I said, lives in Halifax and award-winning Entrepreneur of the Year. Her company is ranked top 20 in the world as well. And she is a top 50 woman in STEM winner. And also there's a connection to the Senate of Canada. Julia, you've done a lot in your day, and you're on the board of the energy company in Nova Scotia as well. Kudos for all that you do. Talk to me about your journey as an Olympian and how it feels now to on the eve of what we're about to see this week. And by the way, we have a little surprise while you're talking to us about your experience. We actually have some footage that I'm going to add in here to share.
I find it amazing that you could find footage from so long ago. Yeah, well, thanks, Robert. There it is. There's our K4 race at the Sydney Olympics. So we're in the boat closest to us, and I was in the third position. Took a lot to get to that place in Sydney. And there's a connection to my EdTech, I guess, path with the Olympics. I was not a good student in school. Really, really struggled. And I just wanted so badly for teachers to see my potential, and they didn't. I was a really slow reader. I had a speech impediment, and I often got put in what they would call the dumb class for the kids who were behind. And where I found opportunity was in sport. Coaches saw my potential, and so I really focused in on sports, and that became my passion and led me to the Olympics in 2000. But it's funny when I kind of look back on that, because I think that's probably what inspired my passion for EdTech, was just helping kids recognize their potential, even if they feel like they're not seen in the classroom. So I hope everybody gets a chance to, race their own Olympic race or stand on the podium. But
how does it feel to see this? When was the last time you saw the footage?
I've never seen this footage ever. It's hard. It's hard to watch yourself. It's very exciting. It brings me back.
What was it like to walk into the stadium for the openings? And you were in Sydney.
Yeah. The opening ceremonies for, I would say, most athletes is just really the most monumental moment. As we were about to walk out into the stadium, in front of a crowd. I've never been in front of a crowd that big before. Somebody on the Canadian team started singing the national anthem, and the whole team erupted in the Canadian national anthem as we were kind of emerging into the stadium. And it was just such a powerful moment. It was just so Yeah, it was amazing. I worked my whole life to get there, and it just
How
felt
far in advance did you arrive in Sydney? Because you had to get acclimatized.
yeah, absolutely, right? That's a big trip. We were in Europe first, so we had a training camp in the south of France, in between Bordeaux and Toulouse. So we were there first, and then we were in Sydney probably a month ahead of the games, staying out in the Blue Mountains because the kayak venue was not right in Sydney. It was out
Right.
in Penrith. Yeah, yeah.
That is so cool. And kayaking versus swimming versus other events. How did you end up in kayaking?
I wanted to be an Olympian always from the time I was little, but I
Right.
thought I was going to be in swimming. Swimming was
Right.
my first sport, the sport that I loved. But I was in a ski accident in high school, and I broke my back actually,
Ouch.
right at the stage where I would have been going to some of the higher level international
Right.
competitions. So I was out. I was knocked out, and when I got back, to my physical, fit to my ability, my level of ability again. I just had lost interest in swimming. Everyone had moved on ahead of me. And so I tried kayaking. I went out for a practice when I was 18. I didn't start till I was 18. There I am right there.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're right there. That's a close-up shot of you. Look at that focus. And
Yeah.
and years of training and
Yeah.
uh, you know, focusing on your strengths. And my skill was I was good at hockey, and
Mm.
and and that helped me get through some of the challenging times growing up. Talk to me about the importance of finding your passion and focusing on what you're good at, and that you can help leverage into other things as you did.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I feel so lucky to have had that Olympic experience because I feel like it's so transferable to really every part of my life. If you find something that you love, it's so easy to put in the work, right? It's not work, it's just a passion, and you put it in day in day out. It's not that it wasn't hard. It was very hard.
Right,
But I never questioned why I was doing it. And it's the same in ed tech for me. The fact that we're doing something that has so much impact, it's never a question. I wake up every day passionate about what I'm doing. And I know that if I put in the work and if I build the right team around me and if we
right,
have a little bit of good luck, that we can be among the best in the world, and we've been able to prove that. So it was a great experience to show me that was possible.
right. And what I find is some of the most incredible leaders have a sports background. There seems to be a strong correlation in leadership, and either as an athlete or administrator, or understanding the challenges and striving to be the best you can be.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's, when you're young, having the experience of being pushed that hard is it's good. It's good for kids to
Right,
be, pushed into something that's so rigorous. We want that for our kids in education, in sports. And if you've had that experience as a kid, you can bring that into kind of into your life. It can be done in music. There's other venues, but sports is a great one, for kids to
right.
learn the power of putting in the work. Yeah.
And I pivoted from a sport administrator. I attended the Olympic Academy back in the day. I
Yeah.
worked on the Olympic torch relay in '88 before being hired by York to be a sport information director. It was the hardest decision I had to make. I had to walk away from a great gig as a consultant, helping establish the route along and celebration events along the torch relay from Windsor to Mississauga. And I got to visit all these small towns, which was very cool, and connect with people and help arrange celebration events around the arrival. And I never got to see it come
Yeah.
to fruition because I took on a role, like a more full-time role. But I did have an opportunity to watch the games, of course, and the excitement around that. And here we are this Friday. I guess it's Friday, sometime later in the afternoon,
Mhm.
that the celebrations will take place, and it's considered to be one of the most celebrated, fascinating events in our history. These games in Paris, of all places.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a beautiful venue and it's going to be awesome. The athletes right now are probably just they can't wait to get started. They're counting down because the training at this point is really tapered off for athletes. You know, they're really
Right.
doing very little and they're kind of resting their bodies to have their best performance. And so these last few days before the opening ceremonies, everyone just can't wait to get
And you
started.
pivoted. Thank you for that. And you pivoted after being an athlete, and you went back and played an administrative role on a
That's
couple of
right.
the games, which
Yeah. Yeah.
which
I was,
sounds like a great transition. And then you ended up in ed tech.
yeah, actually, I had started a software business right after. So actually, right after retiring from sports, I had my two boys pretty much right away,
Right.
and then I started my business right after right after my second one was born.
What did you study?
I studied graphic design. Yeah, yeah, and it's funny. I wanted to get a job, and no one would hire me because I didn't have work experience. And
Isn't that
again,
something?
I was just hoping somebody would see my potential, and nobody did. So I started
You
my
know
own
what?
business.
Too bad you weren't in the Toronto area. I would have hired you.
Thanks, Robert.
Life could have been so different.
Oh well, our paths crossed
We could have been
eventually.
partners. Oh.
Yeah, that would have
Well,
been
look,
great.
it worked out okay for you in the end, and
Yeah,
you were inspired to start your own business,
yeah,
and you sold one of the products at one point,
yeah,
and had a successful exit on that.
yeah, yeah. In 2019, we sold Squiggle Park, which was an early reading program, to Dreambox Math, a
Right.
Seattle-based learning company, and we invested in building Shoelace with that exit
And ASU GSV ranked you top 20 in the world.
in the world.
How does that
Yeah,
make you feel?
it feels good. I feel like we still have some room to grow to be number one, but it feels really good to be recognized. Especially by ASU GSV. They're
Right.
such a reputable organization. Deborah Quazzo and her group there. So yeah, it felt wonderful.
And I'm going to share my screen here and let you talk a little bit about your Olympic themed athletic
Yeah. Yeah, well, what you're
emojis.
looking at
Yeah.
there are three avatars that our team has just developed for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. So our Shoelace it helps teachers deliver assignments through mobile games. And our mobile games are games that kids love to play, which gets them engaged in their learning.
Right.
And every few months, we launch a new season. So we're just on the cusp of launching our Olympic season. And these were the three avatars that were chosen from a larger set by our fans as the top three. So we were really thrilled to see these three, and it's really nice to have the Paralympics represented there too as our number one avatar, right in the front. Yeah.
You clearly have some talented illustrators.
Oh, our art team is the best in the world for sure.
And
Yeah.
and what's it like in terms of talent acquisition when you're in Halifax? But it's virtual. You have folks all over the world
Yeah.
working
Our
with them.
team, we've always been virtual because I believe in bringing the best people onto the team. One of our values is having a high performing team. And so I don't think you have to be limited to your backyard. So we've always looked globally for the best talent, and we're virtual. So really, people all over the world. In fact, we have somebody in Paris. So
That is cool.
they'll be able to enjoy the excitement of the games.
Yeah, I know some folks going over, so I'll have to make plans for that. Maybe in retirement to take in one of the upcoming games.
Yeah.
Isn't Canada vying for the games again? Going in the not too
Oh,
distant
good
future?
question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I thought so.
I'm planning on going back to the Winter Games in Italy. I've got a big birthday. I won't say which one it is, but a big birthday coming up that year.
And what is that in 2 years?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, maybe I'll take my wife over for those games, being Italian background, and
There you go.
probably having a little more time in my hands in a couple of years. Because
I'll see you there, Robert. I'll see you there.
Perfect. Would that be in Torino or
That it's going to be in Milan.
Milan? Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, they were in Torino previously. Well,
That's
that's
right.
exciting. So, what events are you looking forward to catching for the Paris Games?
Obviously,
besides kayaking?
canoe kayak for sure. I've been able to follow those athletes, and I'm really excited for them. Um, I'm going to be watching swimming for sure as well. I love swimming. We have a great swim team this year. It's going to be exciting to watch them. Track and field is always exciting, and we have a good track team. And then
Right.
Ellie Black from Halifax is a gymnast that I love to watch. She's in her.
Very cool.
She's been in multiple games, so it'll be fun to watch her too.
Well, with that, I want to thank you for your time this morning. I know it's a busy day ahead of you, and looking forward to celebrating our Canadian athletes. And it was so cool to reflect back on your journey and pursuing excellence both in sport and in academics. And kudos to you for all that you do to impact student learning, Julia, with Shoelace Learning and your team.
Thank you, Robert. We'll keep going.
With that, this wraps up our conversation with Julia Rivard, the CEO of Shoelace Learning. My name is Robert Mardlacci, the Mindshare Learning Report. Be sure to check out www.mindshare.learning to get your latest issue. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.